about to have brownie in a little bit.
That's no fair.
Okay, now we are live and in color. Welcome, Chris and Matt, to another wonderful episode of Friendly Conversations, starring yours truly. So, here's the first thing I want to talk about. I've noticed that, I'm just getting a cigarette, by the way, don't mind me. I've noticed that a lot of people recently have taken the vegetable shortage to heart and are now starting to do their own gardening. I spoke to my daughter. She's trying to raise basil plants and some other plants. Some of my other friends are looking at trying to raise berries and like things like lettuces and tomatoes. And
Sure.
and it seems like it's a growing hobby.
Even in the
Well-
apartment. I said even in my apartment, I have basil that I'm growing. I was just talking to my wife about tomatoes. So yeah,
So Matt, I know that
You can do upside down in your house too, growing as far as tomatoes go. I haven't done it, but I know people who have.
Well, I
it's
know
just
you're
a matter of sunlight.
I know you're starting a self-sustaining garden, so that
Trying to, yeah, I am.
right. So I just had a few questions that maybe would help some of the people who are also starting out.
One thing I did learn is if you used like mulch and things like that around your property for decoration, like right after a big storm, your municipalities usually have it for local residents to either take for free or real cheap. You just got to remember that none of that stuff is cleaned. It could
So
have
what are you
poison
talking about?
ivy in it. It could have whatever local insects are in it.
I was going to say, are you
You could
talking
be
critters?
contaminating. You could be contaminating your garden with, plant
So would
species
you-
that you don't want.
So would you say it's more sound idea to buy mulch from like a Home Depot or something?
Not necessarily at Home Depot. I went to my local nursery, and they have cleaned and washed mulch that's not dyed. You don't want that either. That colored stuff around your trees, landscaping stuff. Remember, you're going to eat it. You don't want whatever you put in it in the soil is going to come into your food, and it's going to go in your body. So you don't want to use. I don't use insecticides or chemicals of any kind.
I know that about you, but so my question is, for fertilizer, do you use animal compost or do you use something like fertilized soil already?
Well, to start off with, yeah, I'm lucky. I've got a local nursery down here that they have local people, customers come in and they drop off their garden scraps, their whatever from cooking and things like that, vegetable scraps and stuff like that, leaves, sticks, whatever, clean things, known things, eggshells and so on, so they can have other materials.
Your basic organic compost.
Yeah, really, really good. It's meant for what I'm doing. It's an excellent starter compost.
See, that's my question. Is that better than like horse manure or cow manure?
Well, no, I mean, you can't just have one thing. I mean, I was limited on what I could get. I mean, I got a hold of a few ingredients because I still spent a lot of money. Believe me, the compost alone was about $600 for 5 yards, and I had to have it delivered. That was another $65 on top of that. So, and I still needed more because you really you can't use just one thing. You have to think of like me, I decided after trial and error, I did ground stuff, whatnot. I decided for raised beds. It's a living thing and you have to treat it like that. The soil, it's got organisms in it, bacteria. If you really look at it close, you can see that there's all kinds of things moving around that are really small. And that's what you want. It's not a bad idea to put big sticks, logs, if you have a tall raised bed, like a couple of mine are, because they'll decompose. They'll have their own ecosystem eventually, and that will continually feed over time your plants. It's much, much better. It really
So
is.
basically, you're telling people they should go rake the forest and grab some.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you need to know what you're getting. I mean, leaving my dad's property in New York, for example, he had poison ivy all over the place. You know,
Right.
but if you went further into his forest where he had some woods, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you have a tree like I do, I've got, one tree in my property. I've been starting to rake up the leaves. I use their compost to begin my compost process.
Right.
And now I add to it, I need to build a specific location for it, but nothing fancy, a few pallets, a tarp, it really does need to be cheap. It needs airflow. It needs moisture. It needs, worms. It needs, stuff like that.
Chris, let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
You
go ahead.
you do basil inside, right?
Basil, chives, yeah.
Now I know that Mom used to do it outside on the back patio, on the
Mhm.
back deck.
Yeah.
So basil is an indoor-outdoor plant that you can do. Now, is it that once it gets to a certain size, do you have to transplant it back into the ground, or can you keep it in a pot?
No, you can keep it in the pot pretty much the whole time. It just keeps growing.
Yeah, you can. You need to feed it, or
So you can keep it
if it get
inside.
root bound, you need to just change the soil in it. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can keep it.
I
You can keep trimming it.
I keep trimming it, and then there's little buds that come off the end of it. They're seeds. They just put in to the soil, and it grows new ones.
Yeah. Same with
You know what?
outside. That's what I do. It comes back every year, just the same way he's talking.
Yeah.
Oregano too.
So they're annuals. They just come back every year.
Seeds. They come back from seeds. They flower. When they die, they produce seeds, and the seeds come back the following year.
So it's not
If-
like
if
that.
you-
That oregano plant is any good anymore once the season's over.
If you salvage it before the first frost, then you can dry it and you continue to use it like you would.
Inside you can grow it year round.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. So they don't die at a certain point.
No,
Well, the frost will kill them.
but if you're inside in a climate controlled
Right.
area, like my
You
house,
don't worry about
my
that.
apartment, then I don't worry about that. They just keep growing and growing, and the seeds
Well,
create
you know
more
what-
plants.
You know what gets me is, I don't know if you remember, Chris. Remember we used to have the redwood fence around the backyard.
Yeah,
All right, you go past the redwood fence into the woods, and there used to be onions you could pick and rhubarb,
Yeah.
yep.
like, right past the thing.
And
Now,
wild onions all over the place here too.
now to buy the same to get the same onions, you got to pay like $3 at fucking Price Chopper or Walmart or all these.
That's why you
We
get
used to-
yourself
we
a
used to
big.
pick-
That's why,
You pay 50 cents and grow all the onions you want all
We used-
season, dude. I
we
grow
used
my
to-
own onions.
Yeah, we used to pick
Oh,
those
yeah.
and
Red,
just eat
yellow.
them like kids running around the backyard.
that's why you buy yourself a big pot,
Yeah.
fit 4 or 5 different plants in it, and you can start yourself your own little herb garden with it.
Food grade if you're going with buckets, though. Not to interrupt, but you want food grade, and they're really like $3 for a 5-gallon bucket. You can grow potatoes in buckets too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and inside.
Yep. Inside, sure, as long as they
I know this
have
may,
light,
This may sound like a stupid question
because
because
they're a tuber.
I don't garden at all. I never have. Well, I did when I was in like 4th grade. We had to do sunflowers, but aside from that, that's
Yeah,
my
garden
extent.
idea.
So my question is, even though it's an inside plant like potatoes or whatever, do you still have to worry about bugs?
Well, yeah. I mean, you'll have some
Depends on the
bugs.
soil that you get.
I always have these literally bitty bugs.
The topsoil has bugs in it when you get it.
But
They're gonna be in
and
there.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the soil's alive. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good soil. It's not dead. It won't grow in dead soil.
Leave them in there so that they can replenish.
See, learn something new every day. I got another question that makes me go, is I know that if you, let's say I plant a bunch of tomatoes and lettuce and cucumbers out in my garden, are there other plants that I could plant around them to keep bugs away?
You don't want to keep the bugs away. You're talking about bad bugs that eat your plants?
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Right. But a lot of it is, I've discovered that if your plants are really healthy, like tomatoes, I trim the bottom 4 inches or so. Nothing gets anywhere near the ground, and I've got it going to a trellis. But if your plants are healthy, bugs don't really attack healthy plants. They go for the weak ones.
Oh, really?
And I've got enough birds around here, and the birds like to eat those hornworms and stuff like that. Or I check my plants every day. If I see a worm, I kill it.
The hardest
and I don't
plant
have much issue with bugs.
The plant I had the hardest time with was corn. When I planted corn,
yeah, weevils.
The birds would eat before it was even ready, and by the time I picked it, it was half eaten. But
well, you should have called me. I would have stood in your field and just been like this and scared.
I tried that. I tried it. I tried to put something out there. I had like 7 corn plants all in a row, and out of the 7, I think 2 of them produced something that could be eaten.
Now, were they regular corn or Indian corn?
It was regular corn, yellow corn.
Yeah, mine were bugs, but it does taste good when you grow it yourself. What mine survived, it was really good. Oof.
Wish I had more.
Is it better to buy seeds and start it that way, or to find wild, let's say wild rhubarb and replanting it in your garden and doing it that way?
Me personally, I've grown it from seed, but it really matters on the soil. If you have shitty soil, your plants are not going to taste very good. If you use a lot of chemical fertilizers, those chemicals are going to come off in the taste. It'll taste like you ate it out of a can.
So it doesn't matter the origin of the plant as much as
yes, it does.
As much as
Absolutely
how you take care of it. In other words, from seeds or from a plant you already found and transplanted it to your yard.
If you tasted that plant and it's a good tasting product, then yeah, sure, of course. If you transplant it, it's going to continue to be that. Some plants you can graft and clone, for lack of a better word, but actually no, that's exactly what you're doing. You're cloning.
I've planted basil.
But yeah,
I planted basil that had no taste. It tasted like it was very bland.
Yeah, I've had that too.
And I've had basil that's very fragrant. Mm-hmm. So what I did in this case, what I did this year was I went to the supermarket, and they have these little basil plants that you can buy to eat off of. You can they're in the fruits and vegetables section, not in the plant section.
Oh, they're clippings. Yeah, you could do that with rosemary for sure.
It's a whole plant in soil.
Oh wow!
You go right to Price Chopper and ShopRite, they sell them. They're in soil, and you can buy the plant. They have basil, they have parsley, they have oregano, and you just take the plant, bring it home, and you put it right into your pot. Add more soil to it, and just let it grow.
Yeah, on your windowsill or whatever. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a great idea. More people should do it. Fresh herbs are good, man.
Are much better.
Now, please don't think I'm an idiot, but I have to ask this question: Are there plants that can grow both here and where you are simultaneously year round?
If you provide the environment and what they need, yeah, sure. Some plants need pollination, and if you have an indoor plant with no bees, then you're gonna have to pollinate it yourself.
I mean like for a garden. If you made a garden and Chris made a garden at the same time in your respective places, would you be able to plant the same product and have it grow the same season, even though you're on different?
It may not taste the same due to the soil.
Sure.
But
light
yes,
and all that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Could Chris grow tomatoes the same time you do?
Actually, I probably started mine before you guys did. My frost period was in March, maybe, and you guys probably had April, May, where your frost was. I've already had my tomatoes in the ground. I bought some already started at the nursery, plus I planted some from seeds, and a few other things I did from seeds. But yeah, I got a little head because they do everything organic there, and they use heirloom stuff, means they're generational. No GMO stuff, which I like. The taste is just, for me, it's a million times better. It's just, Yeah, just doesn't
One
get
thing I
Chris.
noticed. What?
Chris, I know that you plant herbs. So for the beginner, what would you suggest them to start with on a small scale? You know, what specific herbs would be best for a beginner to start with?
Easy is well, basil's good. Chives are good. Oregano. Oregano is really good.
Yeah.
Those
And Matt, on the other side of the spectrum, you do vegetables, right? And fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Which would you suggest people start with?
Well, I mean, it depends on your space, really. I mean, if you can do it outside, that is the best. And I really do think raised beds are better too. One, they're less work once you begin them. Like building them can be a pain in the butt, but you have a direct control of what your soil is, and that affects your outcome. And yeah, and I don't have to feed as much when I do it this way. I shouldn't have to ever use chemicals at all to feed my plants.
So if you're outside,
so anyway, like for example, I'll give you apples. Apples, you need 2 different trees of the same species in order to pollinate.
right.
So they have to be within 300 yards of each other.
So what would be the
I
best
had to have two
for,
trees.
So what would be the best for a beginner in planting vegetables outside?
Well, my yard is really small. I do not have a big yard. I mean, I have a couple of permanent herbs that I know are going to root, and like rosemary, for example. And once it gets large enough, that's an easy crop. You can pick off that all year long forever. I think onions are good because, well, people use onions in about everything. Tomatoes can be finicky. You need to educate yourself on tomatoes because a little too much, a little not enough, and they can be a pain in the ass. They're prone to certain diseases. I grew a crop of cucumbers, and they can easily get ahead of you. So you really need to keep an eye on cucumbers.
Yeah, cucumbers do grow
less
really
goes
nice.
a long way.
Now, for an outdoor garden that you're making to sustain your consumption.
Well, I'm trying this year.
Well, hold on.
I'm going to answer you. I know what you're going to ask.
No, do you need to make an irrigation system for that, or is it just natural?
I do not have it. I should have, but it's a continuous expense, and I'm really trying to. I don't know. I could probably save a lot more water doing so. I'm looking into it. If you have the extra money or you're technical like that, then by all means do a irrigation system of sorts. But do it in such a way, like the way I'm doing mine is it's modular. If I don't want a trellis, I can take it off and move it somewhere else. But you want to rotate your crops. If you grow tomatoes in one bed, the next year grow them in a different bed. But they still require the conditions to be recreated from the other bed. But bugs, it'll mess the bugs up. If they like the tomatoes, well, now you're growing cucumbers. They might not like cucumbers and they'll die. So
they won't be smart enough to go, hey, there's no tomatoes here, let's go find them?
Well, no, think about it. They're coming from an egg, and that egg is coming out thinking, hey, I got a tomato here. Now I've got a cucumber, and I can't eat. So they're not going to go to the next stage or so of life. They're going to die. So no, they won't go very far. Or they're more susceptible to the predators that eat cucumbers. Ants like them, so on.
Now, neither one of you are saying that a garden should be a replacement for protein meat.
Oh, like vegan?
Yeah.
No.
You're not saying that, in order to be off the grid, you should really just eat.
I'm not off the grid. I wish I was, but. Go ahead, Chris.
There's so much more you'd have to incorporate into that. I mean, if you're looking at something like that, you need to think about mushrooms and all that, and that's more involved than I think we have the time to talk about.
Probably, yeah.
There's so many different types of mushrooms and so many different types of things that you can substitute.
Beans and substitutions, because you need various types of protein.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's more of an advanced gardener thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well,
at least more informed.
Oh yeah, and you need land for this stuff too. I mean, the requirements for certain things are, Like he's saying mushrooms, you need a place to grow mushrooms. Where you grow mushrooms, you probably don't grow tomatoes, you know. And
then there's these foraging clubs that'll teach you which mushrooms to grow and which things to that you can forage from. Like you use dandelions in your set. You know, they grow wildly everywhere. You know, there's so many things you can forage on your own. Right. That you don't necessarily have to have a garden. You just have to have access to a forest. Right. You can find things to eat.
Now, just because this popped into my head, I have to say this. Did you see what Dr. Oz said about weed the other day?
Oh my God. Yeah, he's going back to the gateway drug from the
he
war
basically
on drugs
said
in the 80s.
That they don't have enough people in Pennsylvania to fill all the jobs that they have, and letting them smoke weed would make them less inclined to work at all. Yeah. Because all they want to do is stay home on the couch and smoke weed, which I'm sorry, but my son smokes weed every day and he goes to work and holds on a 9-to-5 job. And he's very productive, member of society. Being on cannabis does not in any way exclude you from the workforce.
I don't know. People that smoke cannabis have a tendency to tell their boss one day to go fuck themselves for being told.
You had a tendency to tell your boss that anyway.
No, there is that. You're right. Okay, fine. But no, then maybe, you know what? That's probably what we need a little more of right now, too. Because that's why people are smoking a little too much weed, is because they can't deal with the shit at work.
I got a friend that works better when he's high. It helps him concentrate.
Depending upon the job, that's nothing wrong with that.
I want to tell you a quick little story.
Stocking shelves, go for it.
I want to tell you a quick little story that may have ended up different if the subject was actually on cannabis when it happened. Working for a boss that's incredibly insulting, annoying, and just downright doesn't deserve to be on the planet Earth. And the boss pushed the wrong button one day. So the employee was outside in the parking lot and the boss was outside in the parking lot, and it came down to the point where the employee was 8.3 seconds away from cold cocking the boss in the mouth and laying him out. Luckily, a fellow employee came over, saw what was going on, and kind of stepped in between and said, step back a little bit. You rethink, maybe you might not want to do this. Now, if said employee was on THC at the time, cannabis, he may not have had that urge to punch this dickhead in the face.
And it might have been righteous and justified.
Oh, it definitely was. It definitely was. Right, Chris?
Well, let me tell you, I know that employee, and I know that employer, and that employer is not the greatest guy in the world. Let me tell you that.
Maybe something we can talk about later.
Like I said, that employee was milliseconds away from cold cocking him right out in his own parking lot.
I had a similar situation with the same employer. Let me tell you that.
Really?
And if it wasn't for a very tall, very bald employee, that whole scenario could have ended up a lot differently. And to say that, there's not enough people in Pennsylvania to fill jobs, where does he get his fucking information from?
Right.
I mean, how do you have jobs that don't have enough people? I mean, I can understand you're being understaffed, but by no means does that mean there's not enough people in the state to cover the jobs in the state. Otherwise, you got a serious economic problem.
Right. You need to find a way to make your state more attractive. Like these right-to-work states that I'm in. Oh my God, that's bullshit. They can fire you for any friggin' reason they want. Any. Yeah, right-to-work state. You mean right to be employed state. The employer can say, I don't like your shoes. Go.
They call them at-will states. They call them at-will states. They're called at-will states. The employer has the opportunity at any time to let you go for any reason. But
yeah, equal opportunity, my ass.
But expects you to give 2 weeks notice before you leave.
Right. Well, yeah, because that looks better on a resume. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought.
Give me 2 weeks notice before you quit. But if I need to fire you, I'm gonna fire you that day.
No.
You know, I really do wish employers would have to give you their resume, though.
Exactly.
I would rather
or
do
give
that.
you notice. Here, listen, we're gonna let you go in 2 weeks. This way you have time to find another job.
Name, sex, and race should not be on an application. Your name has nothing to do with your job. Your sex has very few times that it makes any bit of relevancy. It's the same with the race. The color of your fucking skin has nothing to do with anything. So how about it just based on the rest of your resume? You know,
and
how
the
much
answers to those
experience
questions are sex, yes please. Race,
Yeah,
no
right.
thanks, I'm too tired.
Right.
That's why most resumes I'm looking at these days, it says, most applications, it says optional. And I just leave it blank.
I haven't filled out an application in a long time, so maybe it's, maybe it's been changed, but I highly doubt it.
It has. They put the optional. They put the optional note there.
Optional, huh? Oh, so if you do the optional, if you don't do that optional, they don't even look at that part. They throw you in the round file.
See, here's the funny part. I don't know.
Fuck this guy. He's not a team player. Yeah.
I don't know. Because most of the jobs that I've had as an adult, I never had to fill out an application. It was always send me your resume.
Even when I just moved to New York, a year and a half ago, and even when I moved here and I got my job, they hired me on the spot, just off of my resume. But then they made me fill out the application after they had hired me to keep on file.
When I was working in New York City doing, bodyguarding and security and everything, never had to fill out an application. Had my state license, sent my resume, and they said, "Okay, you're hired." And even
I hope
even
I
after
don't have to be in the job market again. To be honest with you,
Oh,
it sucks.
Believe me, I didn't want to stop being in the job market, but Chris can attest that because we worked together at the time of my heart attack, and the doctor said you can't climb ladders anymore and do any shit like that. And at the time, I was the field tech installing networking for restaurant menus computers. And they said, no, you can't climb ladders and do all that shit. And I was like, well, then I'm kind of screwed, aren't I?
And I unfortunately just got back into the job market because of a bad company to work for. Let me put it that way.
Wow. Man.
That's that at will state where they turned around to me and said, yeah, we're letting you go. And I said, for what? And they said, no reason. We just made a decision.
Jeez.
I know, it's not like those cushy jobs that you had, working for Boeing or whatever the fuck you did.
American.
Yeah.
No, thank goodness for the union, man. That saved me more times than I care to count.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm definitely pro-union for sure. Absolutely. We need stronger unions. Our unions are weak as shit.
I worked for a privately owned company. It was family owned, and one of the HR manager came to me after work one day and said the owners have decided to terminate your position. Yep. And I said, did I do anything wrong? I said, did I do anything wrong? He says, nope. I said, no notice, no nothing, no corrective action. He goes, nope. I said,
no severance.
There's nothing I can do. He said, they can file for unemployment and we won't contest it. That's what he said.
Wow.
Yep.
See, that just pisses me off. It's bullshit.
Yep.
File for unemployment and we won't contest it.
Yep.
Must be nice.
It doesn't matter if they contested it or not. They would still be paying.
Well, yeah, but there would
under
be
those
a bigger
circumstances.
Delay.
I know.
There would be a bigger delay because that happened to me in New Jersey. I got fired for
bullshit
righteous
too
means.
that they can do that.
I got fired for a righteous reason, but when I went to file unemployment, they went, no, we don't agree to it. So unemployment said, well, they're not agreeing, so we're gonna delay your unemployment by 2 weeks. I was like,
until they, resolve it or blah blah blah. Yeah, arbitrate it.
No, they were really pissed because I totaled one of their vehicles.
Oops.
Off duty. on my own personal time, I took a company vehicle to do something and totaled it. I told you, it was a righteous reason. I mean, I can't fault him for it. It was my fuck up.
Yeah.
But I was surprised I still got unemployment.
Really?
Yeah.
They decided to not contest it in the long run. You're lucky.
No, well, I don't know if they decided not to, because I was at the...
No, because that's a justifiable termination right there.
Right. And I was at the unemployment office, and when the company was on the phone and said, yeah, no, we're not gonna approve this, and I was like, well, I'm screwed. And then I got a letter like a couple weeks later saying that even though it was denied through my employer, the state says that the state says that they get, they have to guarantee unemployment to whoever's out of a job. Mm. At the time, it was the time around the Obama stimulus checks coming out, so it was a lot different. Like, unemployment was extended forever,
right?
And I was getting like crazy money on unemployment. So
what happened to Chris?
I don't know. I think he said, he told me his internet has been going in and out all day, every day.
Oh wow, that stinks, man.
I told him he needs to get a new internet provider, but I'm sure he'll be back as soon as his internet reconnects.
Okay.
In the meantime,
yes.
Let's talk about something, because I had planned on a topic that I was about to broach with Chris that he's very familiar with, but I can hold that off until he comes back. Matt. Oh, look at who's back.
Hey, welcome back, sir.
My internet cut out.
Yeah,
no way.
What you said.
Pay $50 a month for internet service and it just cuts off on you for no reason.
Who do you have?
Wow.
Spectrum.
I have them. It only cuts out on me once a week.
This must have been that once. No, it cuts out on me about twice a day.
Must still be cutting out because your camera's not moving.
Yeah. Bye. He's gone. He just went flat. So what were you saying, my friend?
Well, I had a topic I was going to discuss with him bring him in on because he has more experience on it, and I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention that things like this still exist. So I'll deal with that when he comes back. In the meantime, a topic that me and you can discuss is I've noticed that, well, first of all, I appreciate you sending me all those things about Ukraine. And that's one of the things that I know he has. Oh, he's back. That's
those are things that affect our global economy.
Right.
That's why.
Right. Well, that's one of the yeah. But that war,
the grain.
That war,
dude.
That war is one of the things that I want to touch on a humanitarian front. And what I mean by that is,
it's a nightmare. Yeah.
What I mean by that is, did you? I know that you've heard, but have you seen any of the footage of the Russian soldier who was being held on war crimes?
Yeah.
And how the mother of one of his victims was addressing him?
Yeah. He pled guilty. Apparently.
He did, but he also pled guilty with a caveat of being that he didn't want to do it. He was fearing for his life because his commanding officers basically gave him the instruction of either do it or you'll have to answer to us.
Right.
And my question to you is, in a case like that, I mean, I saw this guy. He was a kid.
I know.
He was a kid. In a
19.
case like that, do you really? I mean, what kind of a punishment? I feel that if there's extenuating circumstances like a duped 19-year-old kid, that their whole life shouldn't be put on the chopping block, that they should be given, even if you give them 5 years in a Ukrainian jail, and then after the 5 years,
evaluate him or something.
This is my genius. No, after the 5 years, he now does community service in Ukraine to become a Ukrainian citizen.
Citizen and not go back to Soviet Union. Yeah, because it isn't Russia; it's the Soviet Union. Yeah, I would agree with something more like that, where he's not allowed to go back, or, well, I don't know.
I know you'd have to, we have to like say that. Work it, but
yeah, it would be a workable thing.
There has to be a better alternative than either death or life in prison at 19 years old.
Right, because the commanding officers were, I mean, the way their chain of command works is, those that think, they don't want that. The grunts, you don't free think for yourself at all. You follow orders, period, and that's it.
Here are the two exclusions that in my personal belief: killing a someone from on the opposite side, and the looting. Okay, fine, I get that. All right, those I could see that your boss is going, ransack this whole thing, get anything that we could use, and let's get the
rape and pillage. Yeah,
rape and pillage. That's on you, buddy. That's on you. I don't think that there's any Russian that says, if you don't grab a 12-year-old and start raping her, we're going to kill you.
I don't know. The officers and stuff, they said they're animals, they're fascist Nazis, and, I would not be surprised at all. This is speculation. I got nothing to back it up. But I would say that there's somehow orders for certain people, maybe standing orders to, hey, man, you do whatever you want. The shelling is indiscriminate. They don't know where they're firing. They just know what area. Just shoot in this area. Okay. Boom, boom.
I'm gonna play the role of the average citizen. I did see the headline about Russia stealing boatfuls of grain.
Yeah.
All right, I did not delve into the articles. I just saw the headline.
Sent that to you.
I also saw one on I think it was CNN or MSNBC.
Look, these ships, when they're taking this friggin' grain, they're being denied entry in many, many, many ports until they come across one that finally lets them in, so they can offload the grain. They're stealing Ukraine's grain.
Now they're stealing it from Ukraine, or they're stealing it from people that are sending it to Ukraine.
No, they're stealing it from Ukraine stores. They're even doing it by the truckload. Oh yeah, driving it right out of Ukraine. You can see the Z on the side of the truck heading into Russia.
If we can pretty much stop, if the Ukraine can pretty much stop their military forces from taking over the country, why can't they stop them from grabbing a box of grain?
I don't know. How many of them are there? Are they too jammed up taking care of the hot spots where the fighting is? I'm half surprised that regular civilians aren't like shooting the tires out of these trucks or something. But
that's my other thing.
If I saw a Z on the side of the truck in the U.S. and it's got, I know, whatever in it, it's a construction vehicle carrying shit that I know ain't whatever, I'm going to damage this vehicle. I don't care.
Right. I mean, that's my thought is if you're
we're
in
seeing
the US,
part of the story.
Well, if you're in the U.S., let's say, and you know that we're being invaded, and you know that our troops are dwindling down, and they don't have the reinforcements, and then all of a sudden you see them rolling through your town, looting and grabbing all your supplies and whatnot. I think it's time that citizens grab whatever they can.
Citizens have been fighting back. They booby trap homes when they leave. They poison food and so on.
Take their tanks and just start. I heard somebody did that. They took one of their tanks and drove into their battalion and just started annihilating them.
Dude, Ukraine has more tanks now than when it began the war. Their stockpile went up of tanks because they've captured so many vehicles. Yeah, they're using these vehicles against them. They've got some pretty good tech that the Russian soldiers have simply abandoned. Either they ran out of fuel, they got stuck, whatever. They got scared and damaged their own vehicle. They sabotaged their own shit in some cases and just ran away. So
now I noticed that Finland and
their heart's not in it.
Finland and Sweden are being told by Putin, go ahead, if you want to be in the NATO, be in the NATO.
Yeah, and they just cut off, I believe, Finland's natural gas supply this morning.
Isn't that
from
lovely?
Russia. And they're coming up on winter for them.
Do they have a way to? Do they have an alternate supply?
Probably not in what they need, no. So they're going to have a really, really hard time. But I will say this, something else I probably should have sent you. The EU, European Union, they're already gearing up for a massive renewable project for energy. So, because they know they need to get off the Russian teat. You know, they need to stop, they need to get off this carbon, I don't know, cocaine that this opium we're all hooked on, the oil and, you know, whatnot.
Hey,
it's time to change
good.
it.
I'm sorry, I meant, yeah. Okay, so
whatever's in the ground now has to stay there. That's just the way it is. We have to make that happen.
My next quick topic is Elon Musk. Two points.
I've just seen headlines.
Which headlines did you see? The one where he's pulling out of his Twitter deal?
He's whipping out his Twitter, you mean? On an airplane,
you saw that headline too?
Attendant? Yeah, I saw that one too, yeah. He's whipping out his little Twitter.
That in itself, couldn't that...
$250,000, that's an insult.
But couldn't that in itself disqualify him from the Twitter agreement because of a morality
That's a private deal. That's a private deal. That's like buying a car. You know, it's just real expensive, but it's buying a thing. It's a business. It's a whatever. Why would that prevent him from doing anything?
Well, because it also is governed by the FTC?
FCC?
FTC.
Well, whatever. No, the Trade Commission, not in that regard. They can't. I could be anybody I want to some degree. I don't think there's many laws that say I can't buy something of yours for an agreed amount price. And
well, I mean, I know that they step in and they say, well, you can't do this because it creates a monopoly, or, you know, you can't do that.
Yeah, but he doesn't own anything else. It's not like he's going to merge into his own system.
I don't know, because I'm starting to... All right. Oh, by the way, it is now Luanon time. So, my first conspiracy theory is someone, and I haven't gotten the details, but someone is offered to buy the Truth Social.
Oh yeah, Trump's network.
Now, how can we be sure that it's not Elon Musk trying to take a monopoly on things like Twitter and Truth?
Yeah, but that other one's a rag. You know, I don't even think it works. It's a train wreck.
No, well. Here's the thing: whoever is buying it was a genius, because their condition for buying it was that Trump has to stay on it and post. At a
So maybe it'll be him by himself posting. He'll be posting by himself. He'll be posting himself. There you go. I don't know. Is that a form of masturbation too, or what?
It could be, depending on Welcome back, Chris. How you feeling?
All right, just had to go get a
Talk about getting in the middle of a conversation.
Oh, you just went and got some more coffee, tea?
Yeah.
Tea?
Yeah. Coffee.
Oh, all right. I was going to say, what do you think? You're British or something?
I do drink tea.
What's wrong with tea? I drink tea.
Okay.
And that's why you live with cats.
And dogs.
Oh, I live with cats because my wife likes cats. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm new to the game, so I can understand. I can relate.
Did you live with a cat for like 10 years?
Who, me?
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, liar.
And it would be 12, well, it'd be 11 years.
See? Where's your tea?
I mean, if it was. No, I have an excuse. I have an excuse, though. Wasn't my cat.
Yeah, it wasn't mine either.
No, sorry. You married that. I didn't marry my son. It was his cat.
There you go.
He's got his cat.
Hey, Chris.
Man, this dude's been like my shadow since I rescued him. What can I say?
My cat.
Appreciative.
I rescued my cat as well.
I'm glad you're back because we're going to switch to a different topic. Then we'll come back to animal topics. But
okay, what is it? Whatever. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Who's the one who's
exactly.
been smoking
Maybe snort. Thanks.
Who's been smoking cannabis? All right. So
hey, give me a second.
Eat it. Difference.
Here's my thing. Years ago, there was the SCA.
Yes, it's still there.
Okay. Then people's attentions went from the SCA to cosplay.
Yeah.
Now more people are into cosplay than they are the SCA.
Correct.
Is the SCA a dying art, or is it? Do you see it making a comeback?
Well, that's to be seen. See, the problem with that is that the SCA is a group. It's a group of people that get together and they do these events, these big Renaissance medieval events. And the problem there is right now with COVID, it's hard to get together to plan things like that.
Yeah.
And how do you get 10,000 people in one spot like they used to, 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago? No, for what their big event, which was in Pennsylvania. People from all over the country came to that.
Oh yeah, the Pennsylvania. Okay.
And it's 2 weeks long, and it's 10,000 people. It gets so big that they have to have their own post office for 2 weeks.
Wow.
They set up a temporary in the campus.
And they set up their own shops there.
Yep.
Where they actually do medieval shopkeeping. Like, Chris, you were into chainmail, if I'm not mistaken.
Chainmail and candle making.
Oh, you actually made chainmail?
Yes.
Yes.
I still do.
Man, talk about tedious work. Holy
That's why my name is Mail Weaver.
Wow. That's off to you. That's impressive. That's cool.
My son also does that. He's got all the tools and all the stuff, and he does
Man,
that.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam, I believe, did costume making, or to some
extent.
She
made some of her own. She made some of her own clothes. She was more of the. There's different types of people that do this event. Ones that go there just specifically for the fun, just to go and shop and camp and just meet people. Then there are people that go for the historical part of it, where they have a hierarchy. There's kings and queens and barons and baronesses, and in different areas and whatnot. And there's champions, there's fighters, there's swordsmen, there's knights, and they go for all that.
You're my friend during the apocalypse or these zombie stuff. I want to know you, guy like you. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then there's the people that go for because they're vendors. You have metal workers that make bowls and spoons and knives. There's leather work.
Them some really nice knife work. Whew.
There's leather makers that make shoes and boots and gloves. There's chandlers that make candles. There's people there that
functional too, fully functional stuff.
Everything's functional. Very
well made usually too.
There's people that make things
places like that. Mm-hmm. And those are dying arts too, aren't they?
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to get into the vendor part of it, is there some sort of website or something they can go to get introduced to a group that they could work with?
In certain aspects, it depends on what you're vending and what you want to do. I mean, the clothing.
Like for me, I've never done any of this shit before. You know me. For me, it's like playing Dungeons and Dragons. You got to be really geeky in order to get.
That's more of the Renaissance festivals. Is the Dungeons and Dragons? It's more the fantasy.
Yeah.
The SCA is more of the historical recreation.
So, yeah. But I see y'all walking around in your corsets and your knee-high boots and
that's what they would wear during that time period.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Still makes me think that you're all geeks. That's fine.
You know what?
I don't know. Those guys are a little different though than a geek.
The only
That's
person
very very difficult work.
The only time that I accepted it was when there was one guy, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there was one guy who made this alcoholic beverage called Purple Jesus that, oh my God, I fell in love with the guy the first time I drank it.
A mixologist.
And he passed away, and I know his cousin, and his cousin knows the recipe. So I'm planning on getting that from him sometime soon.
Cool.
All right, but that
Well,
was the
then we
only
should
time
all
that-
have a round then for a little
Absolutely.
honor.
That was the only time. That was the first person that I said, okay, so maybe doing this isn't so nerdy, but still.
Yeah, he also
So anyway,
that guy
Still,
also started his own
craftsmanship.
church.
he was also a dog, was he not?
Yes, he started his own church. He got enough people to sign a petition that allowed him to start a church inside a bowling
Church or
alley.
religion?
Just a church. He hadn't figured out the religion part yet. Just a church. He got enough people to make him the pastor of the Church of the Holy Roller inside a bowling alley. And the bowling alley is a place of worship. That's what he decided.
Interesting.
Yep. Apparently, in New York, all you have to do is get enough people to sign a petition and then file a paperwork to have it official.
So my question to you is, where can people go to learn more about the SCA
Okay.
and vendors and whatnot?
Eastkingdom.org.
What is it?
Eastkingdom.org.
East Kingdom, as in K-I-N-D?
Well, it depends,
K-I-N-G?
depends on where you live.
Kingdom.
Okay. I love it when he looks so
Yes.
studious.
Yes, it's Eastkingdom.org is the one for this area, for New York, and Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Vermont, Maine, Hampshire. It's the
Northeast.
Northeast would be East Kingdom. The rest of it, you can go to SCA.org, and it'll tell you what area you're in.
Okay.
And once you
So
click
it's-
on that area, it gives you all the information for that area, including what groups meet what days, and specifically in that, it breaks it down into like almost like counties. Each county has their own group that meets on
Now-
certain days.
Now, being a complete novice, you can join this as well?
Yep. Well, it tells you exactly how to who to contact, what days they meet, and there's different clubs and different, like for instance, you can do the one that teaches you about dancing. You can do the one that teaches you about fighting. You can do the one that teaches you about clothing making. You can do the one that teaches you about axe throwing. It doesn't matter what you're into. If you're into making candles, there's one for candle makers. It doesn't matter what you're into. It'll tell you who to contact to get the information as to when they meet. It might even tell you who the person to contact is that is in charge of the group.
What does it do? They have like apprentice programs?
They do. They do. For most of the trades and crafts, you have to apprentice for so long before you can go out and be on your own. And there's levels of apprenticeship. So you can be first level apprentice, second level, and third level, and then you become a master and you can go out on your own. But that has to be signed off by the guy that's training you.
With the times changing the way they have been, that's a great opportunity for a lot of people who, for whatever reason, are still remote working and still, they're not out in the public. It'll give them a chance to leave their house and do something different.
Absolutely, and there's some practical, experience there too. I mean, even when you think about it, the people that make period style food, they're going to use all fresh vegetables, and they're going to do gardening. They're going to teach you all that. That's stuff that you can use in the real world. When you're talking about
skills people have forgotten. Yeah.
When you're talking about the people that do the armorers that make all the armor with the metal. You're learning about different types of metallurgy. You're learning about fires and how to make the fire hot enough to be able to do what you need to do. So there
Without burning your metals, yeah.
Yeah, there are.
I don't want to sound stupid.
He froze.
Of course you did.
Wow, dude. Chris seems to know quite a bit. Wow.
Yeah, that's why
some
I
good
said,
skill. That really is interesting. I know people. Well, actually, my wife knows people that have done similar work. And chainmail ain't no joke. That's really
kidding.
tough.
My son does that. What he used to do it a lot. Now he's cut back on it a lot because he doesn't have the time. But it takes it takes a lot of hand strength and a lot. He's got. You get this little. It's almost like a ring fitting pole.
Yeah.
And to so that you can make sure that each one is exactly the right.
It's gonna be the right shape to make the right. Yeah. Like to make a pair of gloves, I bet is really difficult.
He's done all. He's done that. He's done cod pieces. He's done.
Wow.
He's good at it. He's
those are dying arts, man. I wish that more people knew those skills.
Unfortunately for my son, he's one of those he's a younger generation where, okay, I can stick with this, but until this catches my eye. Then I'll stick with this until this catches my eye. So it's not that he doesn't want to do it. It's just, to him, he lost interest. He's still interested in it, but he doesn't have the ambition to do it right now. Right. He'd rather do other things.
Oh, it's a lot of work. If he stays out of it too long, it might be too tough to get back in.
He still has all the equipment and everything. To do it. He's got, all the hammers and the molds and all that shit, and knows what he's doing. He just lost the drive,
Right.
Plus the fact that he was burnt up last year. So when he got burnt up, he lost part of his use of his hand.
Yeah, that's my issue.
Yeah, he fell into a fry vat.
No more wrench turning for me. Oh, he fell into a fry vat. Oh my God, dude. Wow.
Yeah, and so
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, he was airlifted down state. He had to go through skin grafts and everything else. He has full motion now of his hand, except for one finger keeps locking up on him.
Wow. Kudos to him. Came out the other side of that. Did I lose you too?
No, you did not.
Oh, I thought you were frozen.
No, he came back in, but he had no mic or a camera, so I kicked him back out again so he could re-enter. But yeah, I felt that with everything that's going on, that some lighter topics based on hobbies would be more interesting for everyone right now. To give them a break from all the mental gymnastics that we all have to be going through every day with all the shit that's happening.
Sure, good idea.
Which brings me back to you, Matt.
Uh-oh.
I don't know the laws, and I don't know if you know the laws in New York, but I think one of my neighbors is breaking the law. I don't know.
Far.
I had somebody go down in my backyard the other day to do some work or whatever, and they found some plants outside in pots. Somebody was growing plants, and at least one of them was cannabis.
You sure? Because there are other plants that look like cannabis that are not cannabis, that have a similar leaf pattern.
This person's son, who's a smoker, and I don't know how much of a smoker. I'm assuming he's a novice, but he said that I haven't gone down and looked, but I was told that they were cannabis plants. Now, I know that you can possess so much, but in New York, you're not allowed to grow it yet, right?
Well, I know you passed recreational.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's for possession, but is that for growing?
Actually, pretty sure it was recreational. Yeah. As far as your growing though, I really don't know your law. I mean, should be pretty easy for you to look up and find out. But it's not illegal until it produces bud.
I was going to say, because that's the last thing I need is like some SWAT team banging on my door thinking it's my shit.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised they didn't take a picture of it and show me anyway, but no. They just said whoever it was had their potted plant, whatever that plant was, on my patio chairs.
I wonder why.
And so I'm thinking, okay, they're growing it. Are they trying to implicate me? Just in case.
Oh, if it's on your property, is it on your like where?
We share a back deck.
You share one, okay.
We share a back deck, and
but it's on your like half.
I had patio furniture out there,
mm-hmm.
and their potted plant was sitting on my patio furniture.
I would be like, yeah, dude, if your shit's on my stuff, I'd be like, yeah, you kind of need to move that one. I'd kind of like to use my chair.
Well, I did. I told them, I said, bring my chairs up. Bring my chairs up. I don't go outside. Right. It's too hot for me. I'm an old man now.
But as far as someone grown it goes, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of partial. Whatever. I can't confirm nor deny anything like that. It's only medical legal here.
Oh, it's only medical legal?
Yeah, only medical.
Oh.
And no, I do not grow.
Of course not.
Anything I had thought about before was like maybe 3 years ago. But yeah, I have time. This is what my priority is right now. I want to get this down, my food thing, because I have still some more to build. It's a lot of work to build it, especially for me, because whatever, I got issues. So like one day out there of working my building the beds, it's about 4 days off getting my back together. So right. I got one more to go for this season.
Now, with all your plants and everything, are you you're also working on just give me 1 second, we're trying to find a way to message him. Are you also still working on your electricity issue?
Electricity issue? What do you mean?
Your solar panels and whatnot?
Oh, no, I still have them. It's just money for batteries. I haven't even looked into it because I know it's going to be an expense.
I have a question. What do you mean batteries? Storage.
Energy storage.
From what I understood, the panels, they take the solar energy and then they just shoot it into whatever to power your house. Sure. Don't they store them right in the panels themselves?
Oh, no. No, that energy is like turning on your light switch from the power company. You turn on that energy and it goes away. My energy goes to the grid. So like during a nice sunny day, I'm powering the house down the street. I'm powering his house when he turns on his light switch. Well, when I turn on my light switch, I'm making so much energy that I have extra. I'm giving it away. But at night, I need energy, so I take it back again from the power company. So we trade energy throughout the day. I give it to them, and they give it back to me. And a lot of times, I use less energy at night, so I have a surplus. So my energy bill is usually my connection fee. That's about it. I don't really have an electric bill. It's $20, $19. It went up. It used to be $15. So that's usually about what my power bill is. Because now, if I had batteries, I could totally get rid of that connection fee, and by not even being connected to the grid, and I could be 100% self-sufficient as far as my energy goes. Right.
Now, is that the same with water?
No, I'm on the city. I don't have a well. I don't know if I'd want to be on a well because they've developed so much around here.
What about rain?
I mean, everybody loves a perfect lawn, so can you imagine all the chemicals in the ground? I can't imagine what the water's like.
What about rain barrels? Are they illegal or legal where you are?
I haven't really looked at it, but I am going to want, because we go through periods of drought. We go long periods between rain, and sewer is much more expensive than the actual water. It's like, if it's $1 coming in for water, it's $2 going out. So it's $3 for water per gallon. I don't know what the exact price is. I mean, that's just a hypothetical, but.
Are you back with us, Chris?
Nope, he's frozen again. That sucks, dude.
And that's.
But anyway,
Spectrum
rain
for you,
barrels would be
folks.
nice. Have a pump. If I can have some kind of cheap pump to give me just a little bit of water, that would be good to hook up to a drip irrigation system. That would be great for that.
Right.
I've got some of the parts to do it, but I've got very little, if any outlets. I've only got one outlet in the back of my house. Because they were whatever. When I had to build my house in the cheap when I first built it.
Right.
$60 for an outlet. I should have put $240 back there.
You would not believe the way that this apartment is set up.
Yeah,
we're still on bus fuses.
Are you kidding me? Because you're going by the code. Yeah, but I thought when they rented it out, they had to maintain code to a certain extent. Then that must mean that you've got fabric coated wiring. If that's the case,
I
know how old that house is you're in. Well, not specifically, but I know that area that's probably 100 years old there.
Yeah,
75. Easily.
Yeah, I looked into getting it switched over to circuit breakers, and it's going to cost about $1,500.
Do you own it?
Nope.
So why do you got to pay for it?
Comfort of living.
Are you kidding me? So if you need to do it, wow, dude.
Well,
I don't know. I'd be afraid they get in there and say, yeah, no, we got to condemn the rest of the wires in this place. That's what I'd be worried about. Because, think about it. If the guy comes in, he's got to conform to code. He's got to be able. He's got to get maybe a permit for that. I don't know.
Right. I mean, to hire a regular
might need to be inspected.
And
if you get an inspector in there that has to come look at it, I don't know. They, like me as a mechanic, I was responsible for a certain amount of area for every piece of work I did. Just because I worked on the landing gear didn't mean I didn't look at something else over here to make sure it was okay. So I bet you that's the same way with a code enforcement, that a certain area needs to be, up to spec. So you might want to find that out yourself before you consider doing that kind of work. You could open yourself into a can of worms with your building code.
Now, in the upcoming weeks, we're going to be on a different platform, and it's going to be very interesting.
Okay. We still on?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Because I know he'll come back in a second or in a minute.
Okay, just checking. I thought I missed something.
I just don't want to close out without him. Just in case we can, if we can get him back on even for, a few minutes.
Right.
But while we're waiting, I hate to break up the fun, but
yeah,
there's still no progress, except for the fact that the judge let out the quote stepmom on her on bail. So awaiting her trial for I believe it was welfare fraud.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. The condition of her bail was that she's not to have any contact directly or indirectly with the father. And even before she even got released from jail, she made a phone call to his father to get in touch with him, to tell him how much she's still in love with him and she'll do anything for him.
I hate to say it, man, being gone this long, odds aren't good. Just saying. Statistically speaking, I don't want to ruin anyone's hope. You have to face the outcome.
You are correct,
potential
but
reality.
Because of the way this case unfolded, I have a different feeling about it, and I'll tell you why.
Really?
Because he was a severe drug addict and was in a lot of debt. And I would not put it past him to sell his daughter to get out of that debt.
Wow, dude.
And in that
So she's
case,
not in this country then, probably.
in that case, she may still be alive. She may not. I don't know. But if I'm right about what he did with her, yeah, she may be in another country, but at least she's still breathing.
Yeah, but really, is that necessarily depends the circumstances she's in and so on? I don't know. In some cases, the other way may be actually better because of the psychological injuries and so on.
I agree with you.
Dude, that just sucks. There's no good way for that.
Yeah.
Special place in hell for people like that, though.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty much set to the left wing of hell.
Right?
And you don't want to be in the left wing, trust me. But, like I said, every show I'm going to put that up there until there's some sort of news, one way or the other. You know, I know it sounds shitty, but
no, I understand. Keeping hope alive, it's good. Somebody might see it someday.
What the hell just happened there? Okay, we're good. Whew. No, all of a sudden my sound went from one ear to the other, back to the other, and then back to stereo.
No, nothing changed over here.
I did want to bring up something I had seen. Just give me a second to recall what it was. Because this week, unfortunately for you people, I did not take notes. I have no notes. This is all off the cuff. So,
wow, you're slacking.
Yeah, well, you know, I wanted it to be more of a spontaneous and light conversation than our previous ones. But there was something that caught my eye. I'm trying to remember what it was. Well, we could shoot with this one, the one that I showed you. The black students who were threatened with arrest.
Wow, yeah. I think I know the story you're talking about.
Apparently they were planning a peaceful rally for Black Lives Matter.
Suspension and
not only were they threatened with suspension if they go to the rally off school property, off school hours, off school property, it would be across the street, off the campus, outside of school hours. But they were told that if they had possession of any flyers relating to the event,
there would be disciplinary action.
They would also be and the school threatened to call the police.
But didn't they also threaten something with the parents too? If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. Maybe I'm confusing stories, but I thought somehow they threatened something with the law enforcement or whatever as far as the parents were concerned. Because some parents were also showing support, I believe, for this process. For what they were doing, standing up for their rights. It's their whatever. Feel what you wish about it. You know, a peaceful protest is, you know, that's our sacred right. That's what we've got. We don't have anything else. You know, so
especially since it was a Black Lives Matter protest. And they were told they can't wear Black Lives Matter shirts. Or
thank God it wasn't a MAGA protest, man.
You'd need anything like that. But yet,
National Guard there.
Same students who were told it's against the dress code to wear anything that has Black Lives Matter attached to it.
But it was okay to wear Confederate flags and things like that.
They can wear them. They wear them, and they bring
they
them
say
to
it's okay,
school,
hats and shit. Yeah,
and they can bring an actual Confederate flag to school, and that's cool. But you can't talk about Black Lives Matter.
An outright, a visual representation of slavery. You know,
right?
It's bullshit.
Right, and to talk about schools and the unjust. There was a 9-year-old who accidentally consumed a candy edible in school. Another student gave it to him. Another student gave it to her, and she didn't know what it was. She thought it was just candy.
Candy, yeah.
So she ate it and ended up getting high from it, and having to go to the hospital. And the school suspended her for 7 days for consuming treats brought from outside into the school. Not cannabis itself or THC or anything. It was the fact that she consumed someone else's food brought from outside. Now, the mother went and complained and pointed out the hypocrisy of letting the students bring in, Halloween candy or Valentine's candy and sharing it among the students. So the school backed down and only suspended her for 1 day instead of 7.
I heard that too, yeah.
Like, she's a freaking victim.
I know. Definitely.
And 9 years old at that. 9 years old means you're only in 4th grade. You're not even out of elementary school. And you're suspending a student because she ate a piece of candy from a friend? Hold on 1 second. Entertain yourself, Matt. Talk to me about anything.
Yeah, sure. Okay. My pharmacy gave me the wrong medication the other day. Yeah, that was nice. Unfortunately, I don't have herpes because that's what the medication was for. So at least there's nothing that was going to kill me.
Well, that's good, I suppose.
But they gave me my medication that I was supposed to get for free, $5. That was nice.
Wow.
Now, they were just lucky I didn't get a lawyer, because I did hear recently that somebody was given the wrong medication. They did not even consume it. It was for a child. And they got 10 grand out of the deal. But hey, man,
Okay.
you know what? I wanted somebody to not get fired for a mistake. That no harm, no foul. I think this is a lesson they're never going to do again wrong. At least I know it would scare the shit out of me.
It doesn't look like Chris is going to come back. So I want to bring up one last topic before we run out. And that is, there is a former wrestler who is in the Wrestling Hall, the WWE Hall of Fame. She was arrested for DWI along with driving while intoxicated, causing death.
Wow.
She ran into another vehicle with a 75-year-old driver inside, and he ended up passing away. This is her 7th DWI in the past half a dozen years. Right? They originally gave her bail, then they revoked her bail. Now she's in until her trial. And I know that you don't follow wrestling, but you do know the general idea of sports.
Yeah, of course.
So here would be my question, and just to give you a little background. Back years ago, there was a wrestler named Chris Benoit. I don't know if you're familiar with the situation.
Go ahead.
But he ended up killing his wife and son, and then killing himself. And it was attributed to concussions. And they said when they did his autopsy, they said he had the brain of an 85-year-old, and he was barely 40.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. They refused to allow him into the Hall of Fame. They won't even speak of his name. Okay, now my question to you is, this woman who is in the Hall of Fame has been arrested and convicted 7 different times for DUI, DWI, including one resulting in death. Should she be yanked from the Hall of Fame?
Sure, take her ass out. Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
I mean,
not setting the proper example.
But here's where I feel like I might be wrong. The person who killed himself and his wife and kid, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And why do I think that? And let me tell you. Because the Hall of Fame is for what he did
as an athlete.
Mm-hmm. And what he did in the end was a result of what he was doing as an athlete. Okay, with his brain being so scrambled from all the concussions,
right?
It was a result of his employment.
Interesting.
Whereas her,
I see what you're saying.
Whereas she opted to do drugs and drink herself. She opted to get behind the wheel, several times. She was given several chances to go to rehab, which didn't work.
I see where you're going.
So I think he should be allowed in because he was a phenomenal athlete and performer. And what he did at that one time was not in his control. Whereas she had control of everything and opted not to.
I think I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that question, actually. Lou says, hey.
She waved to me first.
I didn't see it. That's funny. Yeah, she just got off work.
But I think that as time goes by, more and more people in the industry are starting to bring up his name, are starting to circulate videos from when he was a performer. And slowly, maybe another 10 years, they'll allow him into the Hall of Fame. I don't think this woman who voluntarily got behind the wheel of a car 7 times and ended up killing someone.
Yeah. Well,
should be allowed the
laws
same.
Were such she wouldn't have had that opportunity. She should have lost her license long before that.
I don't think she should have the same opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame as he does.
Right.
I think that precedent, it should be. And I've always thought this. Chris Benoit was a phenomenal athlete. He was a phenomenal performer. And they should have made the evaluation based on his in-ring performance. He was inside and outside the ring. He was a really good guy and a really good performer. It was just that it got to the point because he used to stand on the top rope and literally just fall face first and headbutt people in like the shoulder bone and shit for years. That was his big thing. Was he would headbutt you in your shoulder on that bone or on your head with his forehead. With his forehead. And after a while, all those concussions added up. And no one at the time stepped up and said, you need to stop this because you're getting fucked up.
Right.
None of their doctors did, none of his doctors, but none of the WWE's doctors did either. Nobody sidelined him. Nobody said find a different thing because you're going to end up fucked up in the future.
Right.
And so I don't think he should be.
Well, there should be a way for people to get medically taken out of sports too.
Right. Well, there is.
Your doctors. Well, I don't know. I don't like I don't know some of the current regulations, but I know some of the older regulations were just crap.
Oh yeah.
So
but now
I know they've done leaps and bounds on safety equipment, things like that.
Now, if you get a concussion in wrestling, you're out for at least a few weeks until you're medically cleared.
Good. So it should be.
But so I just feel I've always been an advocate for him to be judged on his merits and not the result of his performance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think he should be allowed in, but I also think that because of her choices.
I'm going to mix these up, by the way.
Yeah. Because of her choices, I think she should be disqualified from the Hall of Fame. I think she should be removed. They removed Hulk Hogan at one point, and then they put him back in again because of some racial slur that he made on a sex tape about his daughter dating a black guy.
Whoops. I heard something about that. You mentioned
and
it.
so because of the racism, they removed him from the Hall of Fame. Then they put him back in years later after he apologized. So if they could do that, they could put Chris Benoit in. I don't give a shit. But if you could remove Hogan for that, you can remove, Tammy Sitch for killing a man while driving under the influence.
Right.
So that's just my opinion, sir.
I see that opinion.
with all that said, all those things that we've talked about today, all the links for the SCA and whatnot will be in the description down below. Hope that everyone enjoyed this show. I know I did. It was a nice change of pace.
Yes, I agree.
And I actually found it informative.
Good.
So with that being said, I want to thank everyone. And
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, he
That's
messaged
all right.
me. He's like, he messaged me. He's like, yeah, my internet is still messing up. I'm probably not going to be able to get back.
It's all right. Next time.
But yeah, next time. So with that being said, take care. Good luck. And be good to each other.
Don't text drive.